This is Marcel Brown bringing you some technology history for July 9th and 10th. July 9th, 1981. The game that launched two of the most famous characters in video game history is released for sale. Donkey Kong was created by Nintendo, a Japanese playing card and toy company turned fledgling video game developer who was trying to create a hit game for the North American market. Unable at the time to acquire a license to create a video game based on the Popeye character, Nintendo decides to create a game mirroring the characteristics and rivalry of Popeye and Bluto. Donkey Kong is named after the game's villain, a pet gorilla gone rogue. The game's hero is originally called Jumpman, but is retroactively renamed Mario once the game becomes popular and Nintendo decides to use the character in future games. Due to the similarity between Donkey Kong and King Kong, Universal Studios sued Nintendo claiming Donkey Kong violated their trademark. The word Kong, however, is common Japanese slang for gorilla. The lawsuit was ruled in favor of Nintendo. The success of Donkey Kong helped Nintendo become one of the dominant companies in the video game market. July 9th, 1997. Apple Computer announces the resignation of Gil Emilio as CEO. Having been ousted by the board of directors, Emilio's departure paved the way for Steve Jobs to retake the helm of Apple. Ironically, it was Emilio who brought back Jobs into the fold of Apple by purchasing Jobs' company Next to use as the basis for the Next Mac operating system. July 10th, 1962. The world's first experimental international communications satellite, Telstar 1, is launched into orbit. Built by Bell Labs and launched by NASA, Telstar 1 was a collaboration between the U.S., Britain, and France. Telstar 1 introduced the world to transatlantic video feeds and ushered in a new era of communication. For example, in August of that year, Telstar 1 became the first satellite to synchronize time between the UK and the US, bringing them to within 1 microsecond of each other, where 2,000 microseconds had been the previous most accurate effort. Telstar 1 was also the first satellite to send data between two computers, doing so in October of that year between two IBM 1401s in Endicott, New York, and Lagode, France. For all its technological achievements, Telstar 1 was damaged by high levels of radiation in the Van Allen radiation belts, primarily due to high-altitude nuclear bomb testing by both the United States and the Soviet Union in 1962. It went out of service in November of that year, only 4 months after its launch. It was able to be restarted in January of 1963, but in late February it failed again and was not able to be placed back in service. Telstar 2 was launched a few months later, in May of 1963, using radiation-resistant transistors and launched at a higher altitude to reduce the amount of time in the Van Allen radiation belts. Telstar 2 stayed in operation for 2 years. The success of the two Telstar satellites, along with other experimental satellites launched in the few years after 1962, helped pave the way for the first commercial geosynchronous communication satellite, Intelsat-1, in 1965. Both Telstar 1 and 2, although no longer in service, still orbit the Earth to this day. That's your technology history for today. For more, tune in tomorrow and visit my website, thisdayintechhistory.com.